Today, we're going to talk about Caroline Casey. I love Caroline Casey. She calls herself a visionary activist astrologer. And what a great title, if you ask me. She has a radio program out of, I think it's WKPFA in San Francisco that she's had for like 25 years. And she's fascinating and she's charming and she's playful and she's big hearted and big. She calls herself, she says, I'm Caroline Casey, your weaver of context. And what she weaves is everything. It's all of the unseen forces and the seen realities, all of the ancestral lineages and the pantheism of everything in nature being sacred and being in relationship. It's so playful, but so real. It doesn't ignore the travesties that we encounter, but she invites us to put those things in the cauldron so that they can bubble up and distill, so that we can then ladle out a purified, informed, creative story. She talks a lot about that we are voting for a story. We're creating a story with every thing we ascribe to and every belief we hold and every step we take in the direction of our dreams or our intolerances. We are creating our story, and we have all of this opportunity to harness the relationship of our history and our potential and the seen and the unseen. She talks a lot about on stage and off stage. It's like, so much work goes into a theater production. There's what's on stage, but there's so much off stage that's gone into it. And sometimes you have to pause what's on stage, go back, make some deals, shift things around. Okay, everybody back on stage. She's really charming with the metaphors and the vividness of the invitation to relate to the world in with the full appreciation of everything we've come into and everything we can bring into it and see where we go. One of the reasons I totally knew I was just going to be a fan and just really appreciate her work in the world is she's really into coyote magic. So Elizabeth Gilbert, in her book Big Magic, talked about the compassionate trickster. And she got all this information from a book tour interview she did with Caroline Casey years before. And there's so many different ways to go here, but the first one is that the compassionate trickster, when finds himself jailed or she finds herself under the thumb of a captor, um, has this magic that not only will free herself, but will also free the captor. As a matter of fact, that's how she knows it's the right solution, because it doesn't just free her. She doesn't just run away from something. She transforms the entire situation and offers that freedom even to the oppressor, who can take her up on it. So there's big magic here. So you understand how that got its expression. But so Caroline Casey lived with Stella Coyote. So I don't think she had a pet coyote, but there was a thing going on. I'm not 100% clear on that. But so she's really into wolf magic and coyote magic and or medicine, I should say. One of the things she says is in the wolf packs, leadership is established through charisma. So it's not the dominant wolf that is the leader. It is the wolf that, well, they can tell what pup is going to be the leader very early in its life because it's the pup with the lowest resting heart rate. So it's like the calmest one. But at the same time, that pup is the pup that is most successful encouraging the other pups to play. So those are the dynamics of wolf pack leadership. is the ability to be chill and relaxed and aware from a place of lowest resting heart rate, and then invite activity for the whole group in this kind of playful, charismatic way. Anyway, so she and this is the what she says, the emotional set point of the leadership in wolf packs is woof woof, want to play? And when she was talking about it, she was saying that she was, part of her calling is to help the human emotional set point go from this kind of needling management of this interacting with the status quo to woof woof, woof woof, want to play? Woof woof, want to play? That's available. That's an option. And she is this relentless voice for, hey, this is an option. And not only is it an option, it's kind of our responsibility to be playful about this and to honor everything that we've come from and all of the potential that we are moving into, and taking responsibility for writing that story and voting for that story and contributing to the story we want to see. Um, I just find her so charming. So she has visionary activist guidelines that I think are really charming, and I'm going to leave you with that. Her Monroe Institute talk has some really beautiful, so many really great little stories about relationship with the broader context, relationship with the invisible, relationship with life itself, and harnessing these relationships in dynamic and empowered ways to explore and create and play and compost that which we can be done with, so that it can decompose and contribute to a more informed, more beautiful, more creative and expressive new potential. Yeah, okay, so Visionary Activist Guidelines, Principle Zero. So she starts with Principle Zero because she's adorable. And it is believe nothing, entertain everything. Once we belief, we have this, oh, okay, now we kind of close ourselves off to more things. But entertain everything. That's like living as pure potential. And I think that that's really, really sweet. Within this category, she has a couple things. She mentions a Tibetan saying, knowledge is like gold. You can work it and beat it and hammer it. Only then can you wear it as an ornament. So I don't know how those two relate to each other, but I love both. So, okay, so Principle Zero, believe nothing, entertain possibilities. Yeah, I guess that's really examine things, move into it. Don't, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go to Principle One. Principle One, imagination lays the tracks for the reality train to follow. So, how are we using our imagination? And one of the lines in this is, our primary act of devotion is expanding our imagination. I think that's super sweet. She also says to use language as tools of liberation. And then to make someone passive or constrain their imagination is spiritual harassment. That kind of constraint or abuse is a kind of treason. It's about enlarging possibilities while paying attention to shadow amply, but stretching the fabric of the possible. I love it. Okay, principle 2, better to create prophecy than to live prediction. She says this is the difference. Prediction, which makes us passive, and prophecy, which is active concretion with the divine. That's kind of incredible stuff, because we can look at destiny. I was just listening to Thomas Hubel talk about destiny as kind of like when it's that passive, predictive model. People have different vernaculars for destiny or fate, but prediction is totally past oriented and prophecy is totally potential oriented. So I love that she's in potential, but she also says within this, she talks about, she said, this is increasingly important for all of us as we become prophets in a sense and storytellers about how we're all connected and how all of life is connected. And we go out into the world at this crucial time to do just that. We are all learning how to dance and embrace radical change as our ally, and indeed even industrial breakdown as an ally. We can engage in, as we go along, what I call clean magic. Clean magic can be fierce, but it is anything that we would amply embrace for ourselves. For example, we might say, let projects that are really up to no good in terms of the collective, may they run out of money for the good of the people who are also running them. Fierce, effective, and yet clean. So we anchor ourselves in these kind of principles. I'm going to read a little more from her principles. As we go out into the world, we're often presented with all kinds of useful, true prophecies, as well as crank theories and predictions. And we ask, do we like that vision? No? Well, then let's not vote for it. We vote for reality with our imaginations. And then again, principle 0, we entertain it and we see if it's useful as an incentive to dream up something better. So now, principle 3 is the invisible world would like to help, but spiritual etiquette requires that we ask. And one of the things she says a lot is help is always available. Cooperators are standing by. And this goes into the whole of that onstage, offstage thing where she's really engaging with that which we can see and that which we can't see. Powers that exist and we just don't understand them. Remember that our visual spectrum is less than 1/100% of the electromagnetic field. So clearly, if we only rely on what we can see, we are missing the boat. But let's get to principle 4, which is the only way the gods know we are asking for help is ritual. And she says, the gods are the forces within and without. So she says, for our basic purposes, we will say ritual is anything we do that is physical that we imbue with intention. For example, we can sweep out the floor, or we can sweep out the past as we sweep out the floor. She says, rituals are the earliest form of theater. It doesn't have to be some elaborate, hokey, superstitious thing that someone told you to do, because that would be kind of a booby prize. Ritual is not for superstition. Listen to this. I'm going to say it again. Ritual is not for superstition. It is for clarifying intention and to what one is offering oneself. Ritual is for clarifying intention and for clarifying to what one is offering oneself. I love that so much because it really chips that whole, it's not about getting something, it's about offering yourself to something. I love her. Okay. So now, principle 5 is actually if something is a problem, make it bigger. And this is the way I first heard her describe it was you make it bigger so that you can walk inside of it and look at its parts. That so many of our problems come from we try to make things smaller and repress them and make them so that we can't see them, and then we can't see them, and then we can't really address them and find their gift and let them unravel. So if something is a problem, make it bigger, then we can see the pattern, then we can see what we need to do, what it's offering us, what it's inviting us to. So I love that. So principle 6 is we only possess the power of an insight when we give it expression. And I love this. She says that we've come to heal the breach of the visible and invisible worlds. Spirit loves matter. And the simple act of setting up altars are like vessels. If we make something beautiful, something magical will come to live there. And principle 7, which is the last one, is creativity comes from the wedding of paradox. We aspire to be disciplined wild people who are radical traditionalists, embracing what the reality police would view as contradictions. Either I can be practical or idealistic. And the gods say, are you kidding? They belong together. Idealism is completely practical. If our vision is just a little bit longer, then the rainforest is worth even more in crude economic terms as a rainforest than as 2 seasons of bottom line birdking. I'm going to just read this for the end because it's her last few paragraphs. But the other symbol, which is crucial to our construct here, is the cross, an image which always meant to show the two paths of the human world and the spirit world, nourishing and flowing into each other. And the point at which the two lines intersect is the dance, the choreography of creation that invites us to join in. So that's what we're extremely interested in entertaining the possibility of and invoking, that intersection. The gods say, everything right now is designed so that we cannot do it alone. We cannot do it alone as solo humans, nor as a community of humans, without a sense of opening up to that which wants to happen. And everything is designed for us to experiment that way. So I'm going to just read them again, just the top lines in order. Caroline Casey's Visionary Activist Guidelines. Believe nothing, entertain possibilities. Imagination lays the tracks for the reality train to follow. Better to create prophecy than to live prediction. The invisible world would like to help, but spiritual etiquette requires that we ask. The only way the gods know that we're asking is ritual. And ritual is not, this is not one, this is principle 4. Ritual is not for superstition. It is for clarifying intention and to what one is offering oneself. I just love that. Principle 5 is something is a problem, make it bigger. Principle 6, we only possess the power of an insight when we give it expression. And principle 7, creativity comes from the wedding of paradox. So Caroline Casey's work is playful and fun and intelligent and inquisitive and inclusive. So inclusive. And it doesn't, it's funny because she really doesn't like the word trauma. And she talks about, I think she calls trauma my divine assignment or my, different, she uses things, but what are our assignments? And it's really recontextualizing what we encounter to be opportunity for us to apply our creativity, to apply our capacity to compost that which we are done with and not be constrained by it, to free ourselves and free it at the same time, to let life's challenges become life's opportunities, not because we're so clever, but because we're so inclusive and related and appreciative of the creativity that's available to us. She's really charming. I'm going to post her Monroe Institute lecture. She's done a few. A lot of them are repetitive because really everybody should hear the stories she tells about potential, about our asking, about our invoking the unseen, about our being creative. It's a lovely, lovely approach to life, and I espouse it entirely. And I invite you, woof woof, want to play in this world of magic and creativity and innovation and the importance. Oh, this is probably the most important part. the importance of each of the welling up of our creativity and our engagement as an empowered, supported being, playing, exploring the edges of our own creativity and our own relationship and the future we want to create. So thank you for listening about Caroline Casey. I hope you enjoy her work as much as I do.